Hi Elm class, back on with the Vanishing Rainforest. When we left you last time, Ramima had just met Jane, who gave her the mirror, and she liked her, and she took her family, well, her family took the rest of the village into gathering to meet her. Jane explained that she wanted to learn how forest people use plants to treat disease. But an angry shout interrupted her. "You Nabe are all alike. You take what you want, then disappear." Jane's face became as red as Nara Zihi seeds. Now, Nara Zihi seeds, let's look in our glossary. Yanomami name for a forest plant collected for the bright red dye on its seeds. So when you see some people that have decorated their faces with that sort of bright red, almost like face paint, it's come from that tree, that Narazihi forest plant, rather, collected for the bright red dye on its seeds. And Jane's face has gone that red. I think she's a bit nervous or feeling like she's upset the people. "No, I've come to save the forest and the plants and animals that live here," she said. "The people who are burning the trees do not know the value of what they are destroying. You cannot live here without the forest. This alone is a good enough reason to protect the trees. But the forest plants and creatures you collect could help solve hunger and sick people in other parts of the world. To study them, we must save everything, for every tree or beast depends on all the others. We can't do it without your help. You understand the forest." Jane's speech lasted a long time, and afterwards there was a silence. Then one of the tribe's elders stood up. "Very well," he said. "We will help you." So Jane is wanting to find out all these medicines and natural resources in the rainforest that can help. They've helped all the people that live in the rainforest, but she wants to use that for the good of the whole of the world. And she's saying we must protect the rainforest because otherwise we'll lose all these things. The animals depend on the trees, the habitat all interlinks. And if they cut down all the trees, they'll lose everything. So the villagers are on side. The forest people helped Jane and her study for half a year. Soon after she left, Ramima's brother was playing at warriors with other boys in the garden, throwing himself to the ground as if struck by a poisoned arrow. He shouted playfully, "Yow, I'm dying, but my children will destroy your village and kill your children." Then another boy fell to the ground. At first, everyone laughed, but he didn't get up. There they are playing. He just lay among the plantain trees, covered in sweat. So they were all playing quite happily. And then he fell down. "I'm so cold," he shivered. They carried him back to his hammock in the llano, and his mother, Bahini, asked a shaman to cure him. Let's see what a shaman is. It's in our glossary. A healer priest who talks to ghosts and gods, following their advice to cure ills and perform magic. So somebody in the tribe who they would go to try to heal. And there's the boy in his hammock. The old healer paced around the hammock, calling on the spirits causing the illness to leave the boy's body. Afterwards, the shaman said, "He has malaria. Until we mixed with the Nabe, we never caught this sickness. To cure him, you need to collect bitter vine bark." So the infection has been brought in by the strangers. The people in the rainforest didn't have that illness, that disease, and they've caught it off the people that have come into their village. But the shaman knows a cure, bitter vine bark. Ramima went to look for the vine bark with Bahini After 2 days walking along the shady forest trails, they neared the place where the vines grew. But something wasn't right. Smoke in the air made Ramima cough. Half an hour later, they stepped out from the trees into brilliant sunlight. The forest was gone. The ground was burned black as far as they could see. Bahimi wept. Now her son would have to get better. Look at the wasteland there. Without vine bark to help him. So they destroyed the forest that they needed. When at last the boy recovered, so he did get better, Ramima brought him flowers and his mother painted his body with the red dye. That was what we were talking about. There's his face being painted. You are well again, she told him, but the wounds in our village cannot heal. The wounds in the village. I wonder what that is. I think you're right. It's the damage and the pain that has been caused by the trees being cut down. The trees are being wounded, being hurt. And they're not going to heal. They won't grow again. She was right. Perhaps the young men who wanted change would have argued forever with the tribal elders. But a few weeks later, an Indian leader visited the village. He was famous. People spoke his name with quiet respect. Rikomi is coming. Like the villagers, Rikomi belonged to the Yanomami tribe, but he wore shoes. So the people in the tribe don't wear shoes. What does it tell you if Rikomi wears shoes? He's been part of the civilised part of the world where there are towns and cities and people wear clothes and shoes and drive cars. He wore shoes and worked for the government in the city. Rikomi had not forgotten the battles he once fought against the Nabi farmers and miners. Ramima shivered when she saw the scars on his body. When Rikomi spoke to the grown-ups of the village, Ramima listened too. Swinging gently in a hammock. There he is. Rikomi spoke quietly. There doesn't have to be a fight between tradition and progress. Not everyone outside the forest wants to destroy it. Ramima saw her father nod. Some Nabe love the forest. You all know about Jane, who came to study healing plants. Well, there are other tourists who want to visit the forest because it is home to half of all the Earth's living things. That's the incredible thing about the Amazon rainforest. There are half of all of the Earth's living creatures present in the rainforest. Incredible. Another voice spoke. There we go, we're down here now. In a low chant, an old warrior repeated, "My bow will kill them." The other villagers calmed the old man, and Rikomi went on. Tourists could stay near the village, but not close enough to disturb life in the Yano. We could show them their forest. Their money would pay for education and better health care, and for the government to keep Nabe farmers away. Eventually, everyone agreed, even Moawa. A few months later, Ramima's uncle set off briskly from the Yano. "Where are you going, Moawa?" asked Ramima. "I'm off to find Yaunahi trees for the visitor's house." And Yaunahi trees are a forest tree with a very strong trunk used for building. So they're looking for the really strongest trees to build visitors' houses. "But uncle, we already have plenty of logs." But we'll need stronger wood for the roof beams, and I know just where to find the trees." And with that, Moawa swaggered off into the forest, swinging his machete. Do you remember what that machete was? That's right, it was the small axe for cutting the trees. Ramima turned back into the clearing, where villagers were lifting the first posts for the new tourist hut. The project was bringing harmony back to the village. All the villagers working together, doing something where they can invite the rest of the world into their lives, but in a respectful way, in a way that they will look, but they won't trample and destroy and cut down. The two cultures working together, saving the rainforest, providing money and support and all their knowledge and information, but making sure the rainforest survives. Ramima was just thinking about this when she smelt a strong, musky odour and heard a scuffle. That could mean only one thing. She raced back to the Yana. Quick, fetch your bows, everybody. There they are. The peccaries have come back. What does it tell us if the peccaries have made it back? The rainforest must be thriving. There must be food and habitat for those pigs. So it sounds like things are turning around. Maybe your prediction was that the rainforest would survive. We do have to be really, really careful about our planet. What we do now makes a huge difference to what's going to be there in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years' time, when you are grown-ups and you are telling stories to your children or your grandchildren. We don't want to be saying, oh, we used to have all these animals, we used to have these amazing rainforests, but we cut them all down and we haven't got them anymore. We have to think what we do now makes a huge difference in the future. And it says, why do rainforests matter? Well, rainforests once ringed the world like a belt. They covered much of the wettest land around the Earth's middle. The forests are shrinking fast. Nearly half have gone because people cut trees wastefully for timber or to make paper. Every second, timber workers cut down an area of rainforest as big as 16 tennis courts. That's a bit like 16 times the size of our playground at school. And that happens every second. It's terrible. Jane, the scientist in the story, knows that we must preserve the rainforest because of the huge variety of useful and beautiful plants and animals that live there. For each kind of rainforest plant that scientists have found and named, there may be as many as 6 more yet to be discovered. So there's loads of plants that we don't even know what they are or haven't given them a name yet. Forest people are the only ones who know how to make food or healing drugs from these plants, so medicine. Some South American groups use as many as 1,300 different plants. But there is another reason for preserving the world's great rainforests. They control our planet's climate, its weather pattern. The trees soak up waste gases that pollute the atmosphere. Cutting down the trees frees those gases, and this changes the climate, making it hotter and stormier. By preserving the rainforests and the plants, people and other animals they contain, we are safeguarding our own health and the health of our planet. So if you think about it, the rainforests are not just important for one person or one tribe or one country, it's the whole planet. We rely on them. We rely on those trees and we rely on those plants and all the species of animals that live there and call them home. So it's a really important thing we're learning about, and really important to start thinking what decisions we can make now so that our planet stays safe and maybe even heals and recovers from some of the damage that's been done to it, so that we have all these wonderful natural resources for generations to come. I loved that book, The Vanishing Rainforest. I loved the illustrations, but most importantly, I think the message was really important. Thank you for listening, Elm. I'll see you next time.